Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 36 of Build Your Stash and Craft. This week we are going to make book magnets or journal magnets, and this is what they look like. And it's a bookmark that has a magnet on each side. I saw some at the Dollar Tree and I thought, oh, those are so cute. And I thought, well, heck, we could make those ourselves. And so I went ahead and I made just a few samples here. And now this book, I had to use it to make a storage unit for some paper beads I was making, but it was withdrawn and it's not really in that great of shape. So, I just wanted to show you here that, see, the whole book has these marks on it all over the place. So it really isn't, it's kind of a neat book though. And here we have our a little doll. I call them babushka dolls, but I don't know what they are. I wanted to show you this, though I thought this was really cool in this book. This is Queen Elizabeth and her sister Margaret Rose doing Cinderella, and Elizabeth was the prince and Margaret Rose was Cinderella in a war benefit performance in February of 1942. And I thought that was really pretty cool. So I just thought that I would put a bookmark there so I could show you. But this is what the bookmarks look like. And it's really nice because you can kind of position them wherever you want them. They're nice and flat, so they're not going to ruin your book. You won't want to put anything heavy on them. But this is what we're going to do. And I did want to also show you here. And you can make these. I just made these out of paper. You can make them out of, cardstock, which will make them heavier. And now with this one has a ribbon, and where it was folded in half, I just pressed the ribbon together. It does two things. It leaves a line so you know where your center is, so all you have to do is close it and it sticks, see? And also, it just makes it a little bit flatter so that it's not like sticking out of your book. But I wanted to just show here, this is actually cardstock, and the magnets do stay, even with, this had some glitter on it, and I put it right there where the glitter was, and it even just grabbed right a hold. If you have to find the middle. That's why I bend that, because it does help you to find the middle. But yeah, so this is what we're going to make today. We're going to make these cute little bookmarks, and you can make them with ribbon if you'd like to. You can make them just with a little babushka doll. And that's not what you call them, but that's what I've always called them. I don't know why. But you can just make them so they just fold in half like that too, so you don't even have to have a piece of ribbon. So I'll show you how we're going to do it. It's very, very simple. And just a few little tips and hints that I figured out as I was going along. So first thing, I wanted to make one of my little dolls. So what I did was I took one of my dolls and I traced around her. And after I cut her out, I thought, she's too big. So I went ahead and I made a smaller one. But the thing that I forgot to do, because I didn't want to put a ribbon on this one, is when I cut it out, I cut all the way around. So I should have, I came down the side here, I was smart enough to do that, but when I got here, I was supposed to go straight back up so that it would stay attached at the fold, and I didn't. I went all the way around, so I wound up with two pieces. Now, I can still use this. I can just go ahead and put a piece of ribbon on there. But so I wanted to show you, if you have one that you're planning on not using ribbon, don't forget to leave the top attached. And I'll just show you really quickly here. So just make sure that whatever you're cutting, and you can do anything this way, make sure that you leave the fold intact, probably like 3/4 of an inch or something, and then just cut whatever shape it is that you want to cut. It doesn't have to be a little doll. It can be anything that you want it to be, and you just cut it out both sides at the same time so that they match. But if you're doing some where you're cutting them out and then putting the ribbon on them, and you're having a hard time getting both sides exactly the same, it doesn't matter, because one part of it will be on the back side of the page, and the other part of it will be on the front side of the page. So you're not going to see, if they're not exact like this, if there's, like if, let's say this one was just a touch bigger or something, the only time you would see that is when it was outside of the book. and you put it together, then you would see that they weren't exactly the same. But so don't worry if they're not totally exactly the same. And then for my little dolls, I just made a little face. Put some little sleep. I just love this face. I think it looks so sweet with the little closed eyes and the smile. It just reminds me of a baby having sweet dreams. So for my little doll, I just put a face on it. And I did make sure, the one thing every once in a while that I forget to do is sometimes I forget to go around the edge with a black marker, and that really does make a difference. It just makes it stand out nicely. So whatever you're going to put on them, if you go around it with a black marker, it just makes it kind of nicer. And let's see here, on this little one, I also put a little like a little scarf on her, and I went around that with a black marker too before I put it on, which was just a couple little scrap pieces of paper, but I thought it looks cute. I like that, doing it that way. But then when you do that, then all you're going to do is get a little bit of your magnet, and this is a big sheet, and I've only used this much magnet, and I've already made 3 of these, so it really doesn't take much at all. And you can do, if you want, the whole shape. I was going to do the whole thing, but then really I realized that, I really didn't need it to be the whole thing. But one thing with your magnets is make sure that they're going to stick together, because, magnets have that reverse polarity or whatever it is. So you don't want to get it all put together and find out when you go to put it together, it keeps pushing apart. So make sure that your magnets are going to fit together. If you've got a coating on the back of your magnet, you're going to want to peel that off. Now, these ones peel off really easily. If they don't peel off, then just use a little bit of sandpaper and sand this shiny surface so that your glue sticks nicely. So, because I'm just using craft glue. I'm using this from the Dollar Tree all-purpose, and it's like a tacky glue. And then I'm going to just put those together. And really, you don't even have to, I don't know why I cut it round, because she has a little round body there, but you really don't have to. You could leave it square so long as it doesn't stick out. And you really don't need much. It's only holding through the thickness of some paper or some cardstock. I don't think that even if you made it a whole lot bigger, I don't really think that it would stick like through cardboard. They're not that strong of a magnet. But then again, who has cardboard on the inside of their book? So just put glue, put glue on each side of your magnets, and I like to do it with my magnets together so that I know that they're in the right spot, so that I'm not going to wind up where they won't stick to each other. And then you just put that on there and press it down. Do any kind of decorating that you'd like to do. Go around your edges of your little doll and maybe put some little stitching on it or something. And once you get it together, then you're going to want to pull it apart and carefully grab the magnets and pull them apart and press it back down. And because you don't want to leave it together, like right here, I just had a little bit of glue right there and right there. That would have glued the whole thing together if I had let it dry that way. And then just go ahead with it being open, stick it in some parchment so that when you stick it in your book or you stick something on top of it to hold it for a while, it also doesn't glue to whatever you're holding it with. And then, as Papa says, stick it in a dictionary and let it dry. So, and then a couple other things that I made. The flower that I made, if you want your flowers to be kind of symmetrical, kind of the same size, we all know how to fold a piece of paper. I'll even go over it. Take a square of paper, fold it corner to corner. This is how I did this flower. There's so many different ways to do them. You can do them anyway. And then corner to corner again and corner to corner again. And then you have this shape. Now, if you're doing your flowers to get them kind of the same, you could do the flower, cut it out, and then trace around it. But it's really easier to cut out one, and then the other one, you have it folded, and you take it and you put it on there and just trace around it. Now those will be about the same size. And like I said, they don't have to be exact. But also with the flowers, because they're back to back, you'll fold one piece of paper with the white on the outside or the back side on the outside, and you'll you'll fold one piece of paper with the front side on the outside. So this was white on one side and colored on the other. So on this one, the color's on the inside. On this one, the color is on the outside. So that when I go to put them together, because they're back to back, they'll kind of line up better. Especially when, you know, these are just, you know, abstract, I guess you'd want to say, you know, I mean, they're just, you're making them and they're going to turn out however. So that way they'll be closer. So I'm going to open this up and open it up. And take this one and do the same thing. Open it up and open it up like halfway. And now I'm going to fold this one down, because I opened those up exactly the same way. So they should be, because when you make these kind of flowers, they're not always necessarily the same all the way around. So that makes them line up. Let me put this up here. You can see it a little better. That makes them line up really well. And then just cut a little circle of your magnet to put in the center. And like I said, if you do it with cardstock, they'll be a little bit heavier. And if you don't do it with cardstock and you do it with paper like I've done it, you can just paint it with your glue and let it dry, and then turn it over and do that again, and that will make your paper a little bit more sturdy. And again, we're just going to take a little bit of magnet, and this is quite small, so I don't need it to be too big. Take the two pieces and make sure that they actually will stick together. Oh, and it's easier to peel off the backing of these if you have a corner that you can grab it at. So I try and do that before I cut it. You can still rip it off as a circle. It's not that much of a problem, but it's easier to get in there on a corner. And if you don't have any nails, just kind of stick the edge of your scissor in there and just kind of get it to start pulling. And then also, because of what this looked like, I've got all these cool little pieces that I can play with too. So I'm going to stop this right here and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're going to put our magnet on this one. I had to upload that before I had it too long. Now the one thing you have to remember is with our little doll, we just glued the magnets right on right away. If you're going to use ribbon, you have to remember to put the ribbon on first, then the magnet. Or otherwise it won't work. So we'll just put our glue on there. And then I want to see where my little face is. And I want to make sure I put my ribbon on so that it doesn't stick out anywhere. If it does, you can always trim it up, but I don't want to have to do that. So there we go. That's what it's going to look like. Now that I've got the ribbon on there, now I can I have both pieces of my magnet still stuck together. And put glue on both sides just like before. And then put this one right in the middle. Okay, now I do have a problem. When I put the glue on that flower, I put the whole center. My ribbon didn't come down that far. And my circle doesn't quite cover it either. So I'm going to want to wipe that off just a little bit, because when I put this one on, I don't want it to stick together. Now I had originally just folded my ribbon in half, so I knew where the halfway mark was. So I'm just going to fold it down and stick it to the other magnet. And then I'm going to take this one. I'm going to put some glue right here. And I'm putting the glue basically exactly where the magnet is. I don't want to go out too far up or anything. I'm going to go out to the sides, because if we match up our flower, that should cover. Line it up a little bit. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because you're not going to see them at the same time anyways. And so this is what our little flower looks like. It's going to stick together like that. Oops. With the glue real wet, I don't want to stick it too much, but it's going to look like that. And again, I'm going to take this and stick it in a piece of parchment and put it in the dictionary. There we go. And then whenever you're doing other shapes, like a heart, take both of your papers and again, put the papers back to back. This is going to be my back side. Put the papers back to back and then cut your, whatever it is you're going to cut, because that way they'll fit together better. And so I'm just going to cut a heart out of this one. Now on my other heart, I cut my magnet the same shape as the heart. I put my heart on the magnet, drew around it, and cut it out. And I did that because when I made this magnet, I made it out of the coffee filter paper that we did last week. And so I thought that that was kind of thin to just not have a full solid magnet behind it. But you don't have to have that. And as a matter of fact, because of the shape of my heart, I am going to just put a square with what I've got this one little piece left right here. And I'm just going to see if that fits behind my heart. It's a little bit big, so I'm going to take off just a little bit. And I'm going to take the little bit off the side where I folded it, because where you fold it, sometimes it gets a little bit wonky. Kind of like has a permanent little bend in there. Okay, and let's see here. It's still a little bit big. I'm going to take off just a little bit more and try that. And now I'm going to have all these little bits and pieces, but you may be able to use those in little projects too. So you may want to keep those. And again, with my heart, I'm going to put the ribbon on it. So I have to remember to put the ribbon on first before I put the magnet on. That's the only thing with the ribbon. Remember to put it on first. And if you're doing it on the fold, remember, don't cut off the fold. Those are probably the two things that... The ribbon is the one I forget almost every time. I forget to put the ribbon on before the magnet. So I'm just going to put a little glue right on my ribbon. I'm going to put some right here on my heart. And then just stick that down. And I'm just going to put the magnets on, fold that over, and put the top on. And we will have a heart. Now, with the ribbons, you'll want to remember that if you want to draw around your heart with some color, if you're using the ribbon, make sure that you draw around it before you put it on, or otherwise you'll have this spot here where you'll hit your where your marker will hit your ribbon and it will just soak right up into your ribbon. So if you forgot to trace around it before you put the ribbon on, I would suggest not doing that. You could possibly go inside the heart and put some stitches. Yeah, that's what I think I'll do with these. I'll put some little stitches on them because I glued the ribbon on before I thought to go around the edges. And I just did it with this one too. So, but I could put a little bit of stitching on there on the paper itself, not too close to the edge, and that way it won't touch the ribbon. And just fold that down, put a little bit more glue on the ribbon, and put this one right on here. And there we go. There's a heart. And like I said, and you don't have to make your own. You can look in a magazine and find a picture that you like, and whatever shape you cut it, whether you cut it in a circle or you cut it in a square or whatever, just cut a regular piece of paper to go behind it in that same shape and do it exactly this same way. It doesn't have to be a hand-drawn picture or a handmade paper. It can just be whatever you would like it to be. There we go. And on this one, I did get it a little bit, it's a little bit off that way. And I could possibly straighten my ribbon a little bit. And make sure that I put my fold back in there, and that looks pretty good. There we go. So I'm going to do a little bit of stitching and stuff on these, and then I'll come back, show you what they all look like, and show you what we'll need for next week. Okay, I am back, and here are the first three that I had made as samples, and then we have our flower we made, and we have our little doll that we made, and our heart is not on there because our heart is not wanting to stick together. I did not pay close attention to make sure that I had a good stick. They did kind of stick together, but they weren't stuck real well. They're just not the right way. Now, if I take this and I put it on here, it does kind of stick, but it moves so easy. Now, if I take it and I put it this way, it snaps really quickly. It just snaps, you can hear it, it's grabbing. So I did not have my magnets the right way when I cut those. I did peel that off a few minutes ago to see what was going on. And so like I told you, make sure that your magnets are stuck well together. Now it's not going to hurt anything. I'm just going to turn that because it will fit. And then I'm just going to fold this over and line it up. And then we'll see if it will stick now. Now this is going to have to be dried, but I am going to try it on the paper to see how it works. And this is a piece of cardstock that I've got it on. And yep, it grabbed right away. So remember to make sure that your magnets are facing the right way, that they're actually grabbing each other really well before you glue them down. Luckily, that was not a problem. But this is what we made today. I hope that you really enjoyed these. They're very fun, and I love the way that they look in books. They'll look great in journals. And I did want to show you, this is our journal that we made a while ago, and the hearts that the outside edges that I cut off the hearts, I thought those were so pretty. So I stuck them in my journal here, and that gives me a little bit more for this page. So I just wanted to show you that, and to remind you that all those little extra bits and pieces you can use somewhere. So what we're going to need for next week is we are going to need these from Walmart. I need to open my book up. I shut it. Here we go. Okay, so for next week we are going to need this set of beading pliers. It's called Round Nose Pliers. It doesn't really have a name. Cousins. It's made by Cousins. It's a value pack, and it has round nose pliers, needle nose pliers, and side cutters. Now, we did get a pair of side cutters already, but this was the cheapest way that I could find to get the round nose pliers and the needle nose pliers, and these are probably a better cutter than the ones we got at the Dollar Tree. Excuse me. So this is what we're going to need from Walmart. This package was $7.97. So we had $9.50 in our bank. So we're going to use $3 of that along with our $5 for this week so that we can buy this set of pliers. So that will leave us with a new balance of $6.50 in our bank. So this is what we're going to need for next week, along with our wire that we got earlier, and our heat gun, and a plastic 2-liter pop bottle. So that's what we need for next week's project. Thank you very much for coming by today and watching. I hope that you enjoyed seeing these made, and I hope you make some yourself. They really are fun to make. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.